Alright, hello envoys, welcome back to the channel. Today, in our next build video in our series of Preludes 13 build videos, we're going to be wrapping up the starting packs with Oscelda. Now, for Oscelda, when it comes to our Spirit Prisms, I highly recommend running the Druid of Iridis and simply going all in on Spirit. It's a little bit glass cannon-y, but given that with Spirit, and the fact that, in my opinion, the best thing to use is just magics in terms of your weapons. Go all in on Spirit. You'll have insane cooldowns for your Pact Arcanics. And of course, you do have the option to do a split. You could go with the Knight O Paladin for a Courage Spirit split if you want to pad your health a little bit, or if you do not feel like you want to use magics for both your weapons. I really wouldn't recommend going with a Spirit Grace split for this build. You definitely could. You're not going to be hurting as much for health as you would be maxing out your Spirit, but you're really going to be hurting for armor going for a Spirit Grace split. Now, I could be wrong on that. This is the only thing in this video I didn't really look into, was trying to run Grace Spirit. But generally, Grace Spirit, like, it doesn't have much of a place unless you really want to use, like, a magic staff with a traditional sidearm. Now, for our talismans, this will come as a surprise to no one if you've watched my other build videos, but I naturally recommend the Triune Talisman. The Triune Talisman being basically the best talisman in the game, given the recent Virtue rework. I do recommend specifically the Coated Rod this time, in terms of the Coated Talismans. The plus 10 increase to your base attack is fantastic. The extra couple of Spirit is extremely helpful, given the current Virtue system. Now, for our Pact tree. Naturally, start off by going all in on Iridis' favor, cranking up your Spirit. I would recommend trying to focus a good bit on maxing out Mora's Pride to get some extra health going for you. And for everything else, bare minimum, you just want to have one for each node. As long as you have one tier unlocked for each node, you'll be doing just fine in terms of getting some health from your pulse mites, having just a little bit all around extra being put into your build. Now, one thing I do want to highlight while we're taking a look at this is the Vernal Pull. The Vernal Pull is an insane thing that the Oscelda has on their pack tree, where when you're standing in water, your Arcanic powers recharge much faster. And this is also one of the reasons why I recommend just going max Spirit with Oscelda, because Spirit has an effect on your Arcanic cooldowns. And so, having Vernal Pool, standing in water, you'll be able to crank out a lot of Arcanic activations, which is awesome. Now, for armor, at the moment, there are two default best options that I recommend. That being the Steel Singer set, which can be gotten from destroying the Odin tanked basilicum things around the map, or that can sometimes be a part of a faction tail votive. And the other set is, of course, the newest set, the Wizard set, which can be gotten from the Origin. The starting Oscelda sets are pretty decent, but in terms of what scales really well with Spirit, there aren't really any other options at all outside of the starting set, the Steel Singers, and the Wizard set. Now, for our weapons, I, of course, do primarily recommend simply going all in on magics. For your sidearm, you'll want to run Basker's Rest from the Kith of Kings, Odiak from Alka's Children, or if you are a founder and have the Wild Oscelda, Estelle. For weapons, I would recommend trying to aim for Seathorn, given how good it is. It is, I believe, the only one, the only magic that not only can reach 4 attunement tiers with Spirit, but also has 2 Grace attunement tiers as well. Earthroot is also extremely strong, and you will probably have plenty of Earthroot fragments around if you've been farming the Orden before the new bow has been put into the loot pool. And of course, if you are watching this after that bow has been put in the Orden loot pool, you can acquire the Earthroot from the Wraith of Wastes. Now, for your magic weapons, bless them with Fable. If it's a polished, fine. You know, if you haven't maxed it out to rank 30 yet, if you're able to max out your weapon and bless it with a Fable blessed by Iridus, I highly, highly recommend it. The consecutive attack damage from Fable was recently nerfed in, I believe, Preludes 13 Hotfix 2. But fret not, it is still incredibly potent and something I would absolutely run. For a long time, I ran Odiak as my sidearm back in Preludes 12 in the Courage meta. Before then, I ran Odiak as a primary before it got moved over to the sidearm slot. And I was pleasantly surprised by the magic stabs. The magic stabs I didn't really use much until later for whatever reason. Like I just never really messed around with them. But I was very surprised by how well they perform and the damage. It's quite good. So, for our runes and totems, Arcstorm is just what I recommend. The Halloween is cool. The AoE, you know, for going around clearing out ads, groups of Sinisture is pretty cool. But Arcstorm is, in my opinion, just way better. And Arcstorm can be acquired from the Wraith of Wastes. And the reason I recommend Arcstorm so much is because if you look at how much increased damage you get just at the second upgrade tier that I have mine at, that is a 100% increase to your damage for 25 seconds. And it's just insane. You match that with the Feybolt's consecutive hit damage, you're dealing a ton of damage, which is so good. And even if you're not running Fellis, which obviously you aren't, it's just incredibly strong. It's incredibly good damage, even though you are in more of a support role, more of a ad control, more of a crowd control role with Oscelda. And in terms of our totems, the Spirited for additional smite chance is an incredible option. You always want to be able to get more smite pulls. Given how squishy high spirit builds can be, I absolutely recommend going with the Proud for some increased stagger resist and the Blighted for a little bit of extra physical armor. And I highly recommend the Spirited for its increased 15% attack speed. When you combine increased attack speed with the Feybolt's consecutive hit damage, getting a rune proc, you would be very surprised just how strong magics are considering their ease of use. Now, a couple honorable mentions here for weapons. I would say polearms. I see a lot of people talking in chat about how they really like polearms with Oscelda. It's just, you know, a different little unique thing where you're having a bit of a unique melee build paired with what is typically the healing kit. And of course, Search Eternal is fantastic, giving you that 100% increase when maxed out to your damage by giving you extra fire damage. And of course, Split Bolt is pretty cool. Your throws have 4 additional projectiles, kind of giving you this like insane spear fantasy. And I've never tried Split Bolt. I just haven't gotten around to it. But it's very cool. It's very cool. It's a really cool fantasy and build and a unique thing you can do. And of course, if you are going to go into some sort of other split, or just for some reason you want to use a normal sidearm with Oscelda, I'm going to recommend Flint Smoke. Flint Smoke is extremely strong regardless of build. Of course, you could use Emberot because it, of course, is very strong. But yeah, that's about it for our Oscelda build. A little bit of a shorter video than the last one. Oscelda is a little more straightforward when you're running at max spirit. You just go all in on your magics, get as much armor as you can, play safe, get your pull smites, stand in water to spam your abilities if you can. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you for watching this video. If you made it to the end, please subscribe if you feel inclined to. Drop a like, leave a comment down below with any thoughts on the build or thoughts on Soulframe Preludes 13 in general. Link to my Twitch will be in the description. We're going to be ramping up this week with Marathon Server Slam. And if you see me live at all in the near future from when this video drops, pop on over. I have 5 Soulframe Preludes keys to give away still. And there hasn't been much movement in chat for those, so if you pop in asking about it, you might just be lucky enough to get given a key right on the spot. Peace out, boys.